All right, the science test really should be called the science reasoning test, as it doesn't test any understanding of facts that you have learned in biology, physiology, anatomy, physical science, physics, or chemistry. None of that. It's just testing your ability to reason like a scientist. You're going to have to look at graphs, charts, labs, different experiments that were done. When doing so, you're trying to figure out the answers from that. You're interpreting. You're just simply trying to reason what is being shown to you. For example, your three different groups of questions are going to come in the form of data representation, or research summaries, or conflicting viewpoints. I'm going to show you a little bit of each one of those, some examples of what some of that looks like here. Here's a sample of data representation. In the data representation, you're given charts, you're given diagrams, you're given information, and you just simply have to find that information from that. These are probably the most simple passages on your science test. You will have 7 different passages. 1 or 2 will be these data representations. The rest of them will be research summaries and conflicting viewpoints. But from this chart, from this graph, from this diagram, you're simply going to pull the information off it. It is not necessary to read through all of this. It's only necessary to find what you are looking for on this. So don't read through it all, just jump right to the questions and start answering them. This is an example of research summary. In the research summaries, the passages will put scientific data from the experiment up, so it looks a little bit like data representation, and the questions are kind of similar, but here they're going to demand a greater degree of analysis from you. They're going to require you to evaluate a couple of different experimental designs. For this, the information, there is a data to read in the chart, but you have 2 different experiments, one where there was one type of a variable and another with a different variable. So you're going to be asked to kind of go back and forth and maybe explain what is more scientifically reasonable with one experiment versus another. So there is some representation where you're looking at numbers, but you're more looking at conflicting viewpoints here, or looking at the different research summaries and trying to explain what's going on in one versus the other. The third and final type of passage on the science test is conflicting viewpoints. Here, the type of passages that they're going to present you with will have 2 or 3 alternative theories. The questions test your understanding on the differences between those viewpoints, and then they ask you to evaluate which theory do you think is best suited. So you'll have a topic, 2 conflicting experiments will be done. You're making comparisons. It's not so much about the data on this as it is the experimental design and the views that the scientists had in going about and working out those experiments. So what are some tips? What are some hints to help you through the science portion? Depending on the passage, whether it's data representation, research summary, or conflicting viewpoints, you may want to read the passage first. Only in the conflicting viewpoints should you read the passage. The others, just jump right to the questions and pull the information out of the charts. Try to identify the controls. Try to identify the variables. Highlight those, circle those. Again, right on your test booklet. It's okay to mark it up. Find out where is the independent variable. They might call it the manipulative variable. What are the dependent variables in there? They might call that the responding variable. What are the controls? Focus on differences and focus on similarities. If you focus on those 2 things, you're more likely to be getting your attention attracted to what it is they're trying to ask the questions on. Again, don't be afraid to underline, circle, or write. Don't get bogged down with the details. Don't get bogged down with all of the scientific jargon. They're going to pick words and experiments that will try to confuse you. It has nothing to do with big words. It has everything to do with just the numbers. As long as you're looking in the right place, the right chart, at the right time, you're going to be successful. Lastly, don't read too much into this. The ACT test writers probably know less science than you do. If you take your science knowledge and bring that into the test and say, well, I know something about this concept and that concept, you have a chance of getting it wrong. They only want you to answer what they show you there. Go slow. Take your time. You'll be successful. Good luck.